When I was younger, it's just that pure joy, and I think there was a real exploration through drawing as well, and I think that's what I was enamoured with and obsessed by, being able to create things from virtual nothingness. I spent a lot of time in libraries after school. My mum would pick me and my brothers up and she'd take us to Heywood Library, and I'd also spend a lot of time in my school library. And I often think back to picking up The Last of the Sky Pirates, illustrated by Chris Riddell, and wonder if I hadn't picked that up, would I be where I am now? Would I still be the person I am today? And in a weird way, the universe was channeling me to go and pick that book up and be enamoured and engaged by the illustrations. Me and my dad had a lot of discussions when we drive up to school, and he was very much, you don't want to do what I've done and be stuck in a job for the rest of your life just to pay bills and keep a roof over your head. Go out and enjoy, live life, achieve this dream. Yeah, I do sort of appreciate that, and I really respect that about my parents. And they weren't absent parents, they were very much involved and engaged. That's why they worked so hard to, really look after me and my brothers and give us the best opportunities in life that we possibly could have. So after sixth form, I went on to do a BA in graphic design with an illustration pathway. I then moved on to do a master's because I didn't feel like I quite had my voice yet in regards to the work I was generating, and it was a tutor that said that I was living too much in my whimsical fantasy world and needed to have it be more informed by reportage and phenomenology, which is your lived experience, where you come from, your social class, etc. It all goes into becoming who you are, and that's what makes you unique. I think I set out initially just to draw people. I think that was the first thing, which focused on individuals living in and around Middleton, Heywood, these places that I grew up in, and these people that I felt like I knew just by drawing them. And I spotted this lady who, she had like a beret on, she had a big long puffer coat that went from her neck all the way down to her ankles, and she was wearing slippers. And in her two hands were these big bags for life, and she was trailing them along the floor. Just for a moment I was like, wow, she looks like she's carrying the weight of her whole entire life in these bags for life. It then did slowly begin to inform the more whimsical elements, which led to my project called Round Our Way. I had these newspapers that I was then sending out to art directors once I'd finished my masters, and one of them ended up with a lady at BBC History magazine who loved them. And 8 months later she came back to me and said, I've got a commission for you, Ian, and I think you'd be perfect. And then that sort of leading into children's book illustration. I don't believe that the first book that I worked on would have been picked up if it hadn't been for it being so connected with my own phenomenology in regards to my lived experience growing up as quite a little bit of a reluctant reader growing up, and my experiences with being taken to libraries very young by family members. And then now it's blossomed into these really sincere relationships with authors. Oliver, I've worked on him with 4 books now. Alex, I've worked 2. Tom, I've done 2. Now, I'm still very early in my infancy as a career as a children's book illustrator, because it can last up until you're 90. I mean, Quentin Blake's 90 odd and he's still illustrated. Nietzsche said you have to have chaos within inside you to give birth to a dancing star. You have to go into that to then come out and be stronger. And I think once you start to learn to appreciate yourself and be confident in who you are as an individual and be happy that, you can have these moments of quiet and calm and maybe isolation and be okay in your own company, it makes you have less of a need for validation from people. Being able to have an outlet to channel this into is a magical thing. And if you are a working class creative, you're going to stand out because there's not many. So use that as a superpower almost. I've had the pleasure of lecturing for the last few years at Manchester School of Art, encouraging, building up. I bring students up, I help them grow, so it's not just the creative side, it's the introspective, self-contemplative aspect to being a creative, and I think that's the biggest challenge. It's overcoming that need for instant validation and gratification that's so prevalent in today's society, especially in terms of being an illustrator. I was in my studio for 2 years, and previous to that, being a student and just drawing in my bedroom, or going into the pub and drawing, or going out and about in Manchester and drawing, wherever it was, that was my world for quite a long time. And now my work is out there internationally, and it becomes much more than just me drawing in my little studio. You never know, it could have a cultural impact at some point in the future. It could really help the development of children's literature for the future, or just give that one kid growing up in a working class town that doesn't think there's anything going for him as a creative individual, that actually well, this person did it, so why can't I? I've still got aspirations and I've still got obstacles in the way. Being an illustrator and lecturing at the same time. But I think that's the biggest thing, hope, that no matter what your background is or your circumstance, if you do put your mind to it, you can achieve it. And that's what I hope, that one day that circular cycle of I saw this that then informed me, but then that happens to someone else in the future, whether that's 5 years from now, 10 years, 20. As long as there's some element of that, I will know that I did my job properly.